Are you ready for that Patriots-Chiefs game? Maybe you're more excited for the Bengals-Browns or the Dolphins-Jets. Hey, it's all about fantasy, right? We're going to preview some of the AFC home games, give you some awesome stats, tell you some players we love and some players we hate. Let's get started on fantasy football today right now. Okay, let's get the fantasy playoffs started. We have got some elite quarterbacks with pretty tough matchups. We have got an AFC showdown in Foxborough, and we have got an amazing step. First of all, we have our participants laughing already. What did I do that is making you laugh?
You blew out our ears.
Holy cow, man. I know it's the fantasy playoffs, but what are you doing?
Welcome to Fantasy Deaf Today.
Every show. I'm sorry.
No, you were exceptionally loud on that one.
I don't think I was. Just maybe my mic's a little louder than usual. All right, I'll have to.
Well, yeah, that'll do it.
All right, guys. So, what? I have an amazing stat to give you today. Jamie actually brought it to the show's attention. Jamie, what is the amazing stat of the day?
Well, according to Boston Sports Info, the Patriots, with Julian Edelman and Tom Brady playing together, are 42-0 against AFC opponents in their careers. It's a span of 10 years.
That's amazing.
At home.
At home.
In the regular season.
At home.
In the regular season.
Right.
There's some more qualifications.
Sorry.
And I have verified. I've confirmed their reports that I didn't believe. I apologize for not believing it. And I am glad that we are going to mush this on the podcast.
It's amazing.
Do you think Chiefs win this week?
We just mushed it.
What do you think? Give me a pick.
I think the Chiefs win.
I think what would cinch it is, Adam, if you could say, of course the Chiefs aren't going to win. The Patriots always win at home against AFC teams in the regular season.
Or I could just say bonanza or something like that. I think the Patriots will probably win. I think
the Patriots win too.
Yeah, but hey, it could certainly swing the other way. That's the first game we're going to preview. Spent a lot of time on that one. Those two teams, by the way, give up the fewest points to wide receivers and the fourth fewest points to wide receivers. That might surprise you with the Chiefs. Give me a player that you love this week and then a player that you don't love so much this week. Maybe you even hate that player this week. Let's start with someone we love this week.
I like the outlook for LeSean McCoy if there's no Damian Williams.
Love, Dave. Express the love. You said like.
Okay.
Love him.
I love LeSean McCoy this week if Damian Williams doesn't play. Is that better for you?
I didn't feel it.
Okay. Well, sorry. Just the track record of Andy Reid running backs going up to New England. Very, very good.
Yeah. It's. I hope he gets more than 13 touches. There really hasn't been a running back that's had a good game with 13 or fewer touches against the Patriots. But Duke Johnson had 14 touches last week, and he torched them. So you never know.
There's not been a Chiefs running back not named Damian Williams that has had more than 13 touches in a game.
I know.
It just feel like they trust LeSean McCoy.
I think they have to trust LeSean McCoy.
I think they think he's old, and they're afraid he's going to break.
Well, then the alternative is an inexperienced rookie who might not know what he's doing,
Ware.
or Spencer Ware. That's who you're going to trust?
It could be all three guys. I mean, that's what we've seen. That they get multiple guys.
I'm thinking LeSean McCoy gets more work than he ever has, or more work than he has this season. Not ever. That's a long time, but more than this season.
I don't like him this week.
Really? Lukewarm.
Yeah.
He's in my top 24.
Great. JB, who do you like this week? Who do you love this week?
I'll stay with the same game. I like Brady. I think Tom Brady's going to have a big game this week against the Chiefs.
Do you love him?
Okay.
I do love him.
You love him?
I do.
Heath, who do you love?
I love Myles Sanders against the New York Giants.
This game. Same game. Come on.
Nope, not that. There's no one I love in that game. I love Myles Sanders. I don't expect that Jordan Howard's coming back. They finally let him loose a little bit last week. He'll do work in the passing game. He's going to get most of the work in the rushing game. He's going to be a top 10 running back this week.
Wow, that'd be great.
Okay, so do you feel confident enough to sit David Montgomery or Tariq Cohen for him?
For Myles Sanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what if Jordan Howard comes back?
That's true.
I think if Jordan Howard comes back, it's like a 50-50 shot who's better between Myles Sanders and Tariq Cohen, or Myles Sanders and David Montgomery.
I'd play Montgomery if you told me right now Jordan Howard's playing, I'd play Montgomery over Sanders.
Yes, I would too. Yeah. But it's not that they'll be pretty close in the rankings still. Like maybe one of them's 25 and one of them's 28 or something for me.
I'm probably a little bit more optimistic on Montgomery, but I'd play Montgomery over the Eagles running backs if you told me Howard was playing, but I'd play Sanders over Tariq Cohen.
Quick thought on tonight's game. I'm just so nervous that it's going to be low scoring, but there are some pretty key defensive injuries that could really help. Prince Amukamara is out for the Bears.
That'll hurt.
Well, I
it'll
don't
help
think
Dallas.
so. It'll help Dallas. I know he was bad against last week, but still a starting cornerback. Antoine Woods and Leighton Vander Esch and Jeff Heath, a defensive tackle, a linebacker, and a safety, all out for the Cowboys. Hopefully that helps the scoring a little bit. But just in general, guys, like I know we previewed it yesterday, so just give me a quick version of this. Who do you feel comfortable with tonight?
I think you're starting all the main Cowboys guys. It's hard to get away from, maybe Michael Gallup, but that's got to be probably the only one. You're starting Cooper, you're starting Zeke, you're starting Dak, most likely. I had a buddy of mine ask me Baker or Cousins or Dak. Dak's third for me, but I mean he's still a top 12 quarterback. I don't think most people are going to bench Dak Prescott. And for the Bears, I think it's Allen Robinson for sure, and then it just kind of comes down to how much you trust David Montgomery. Anthony Miller, same thing. How much do you trust him? Given the recent level of play, he's at least a number 3 receiver, depending on how many guys you start.
Okay, cool. And who's a player you hate this week? Heath the hater.
I don't want to be negative or anything, but
Really?
I don't know if this guy's supposed to be in the rankings debate. I know we have a wide variance of opinion, but I kind of hate Drew Brees.
I moved him down this morning.
I am scared of that San Francisco defense that you just haven't been able to pass on them. Like running quarterbacks have had success. Mobile quarterbacks have had success. Drew Brees is not very mobile.
I feel like we're headed toward a low-scoring game between those teams.
It feels like it. Yeah, I dropped him down too. I think he's still top 15. He's still top 15 for me. Like I'm not gonna start. The one guy that I like better than him of the guys we've talked about on waivers is Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. You can certainly make an argument for Darnold as well. Maybe Tannehill, but that's kind of the range for me. I would put him ahead of Darnold and Tannehill, but he's behind Fitzpatrick for me.
Okay, Jamie, player you hate?
Not hate, but nervous about DJ Chark. We've seen some up and down performances from him really all season. He's had some huge games and some downers. 2 of his last 3 have been downers. Hopefully Minshew coming back will help. But I do think you look at this Chargers secondary, they've been very good against opposing receivers really all season. And I don't know if Minshew is the Minshew we saw early in the season, or is it the Minshew we started to see before he got benched and lost his job when he was getting jumpy in the pocket and, got really schemed out of looking like a good quarterback in that game against the Panthers. So Chark makes me a little bit nervous.
Would you consider him as a flex?
Yeah, I don't think most people are going to bench DJ Chark, and I get that. He's got that. He's we talk about these boomer bust receivers.
He's one of them.
He is, but he's on the higher end because from what his body of work has been this year. Like I don't put him in the same category as like a Brandon Cooks or a James Washington. Washington's obviously playing very well right now, but the type of guys where it's one play is going to set them apart. He's going to get more targets and better opportunities than those guys. I just don't love the setup for him like I typically do.
I've got him ranked lower than I have in the last month, but I'd still start him over Gallup and Miller.
I agreed. Yeah, agreed.
I'm going to start Miller over him in PPR for sure. And cool. Washington's real close.
Dave, who's your haterade player?
I don't like what I've seen from Philip Lindsay over the last 4 weeks. And
4 or 3, because 4 games ago he had the big game against Cleveland. It was 1 run, but
he's just 8 PPR fantasy points or less in 4 of his past 6 non-PPR points in 5 of those past 6. He's getting the work. It's not like he's sharing with Royce Freeman, but he's playing against Houston. Drew Lock's the quarterback. Houston's defense, I think, played really well last week. The numbers that James White got, a lot of it was toward the end of the game. I felt like it was kind of fluky, and I don't think the Broncos are going to adjust their offense the way that the Patriots adjust theirs. I just think they do what they do, and I think he can get away from him this week.
It'll be a good test for Lindsay. I still like him because of the work he's got and because of what the Texans defense has done recently. On the ground the last 3 weeks, they've given up 178, 155, and 139 yards their last 3 games, and last week they gave up almost 100 yards through the air. So
I don't think you can count on that for Lindsay.
His catches have been there. He hasn't been doing a lot with his catches. I was originally like he was when I first did the first version of Start Sit. He was the bust alert. I took him out for 2 reasons. One, Freeman showed up on the injury report, so I wonder if he gets even more work I mean, Freeman's still been taking touches away from him. It's not like
It just not as much as it was earlier.
right, 100%.
Sure.
The last 3 games, he's been 16 or more touches. I think we said yesterday.
Yep.
And then what Pete said on the show yesterday about Locke dumping the ball off to him a little bit more. We have seen that. You had the big game from James White, but you also had Mark Ingram had the 2 touchdown game against them through the air as well. And so I wonder if they're a little bit vulnerable in that regard.
Oh, they are.
They are, but I don't know if the Broncos are going to take advantage.
They give up the most receiving yards to running backs, and I think the second most catches to running backs. Drew Lock threw 28 passes. 7 of them went to running backs, but I think 4 went to Lindsay and 3 to Freeman, or maybe it was reversed. So it wasn't just Philip.
Sure.
I just think with this offense, like they started the year with Flacco, and the whole time he was quarterback, they threw to running backs a lot. Brandon Allen came in and didn't do it, and then Drew Lock came in and did. So I think the offense involves a lot of dump-offs to running backs. Brandon Allen was just taking off running instead.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
So those are some players we love and we hate. LeSean McCoy, Tom Brady, Myles Sanders, guys we really like this week. Philip Lindsay, DJ Chark, and who was the other? Drew Brees. A little cold on them this week. Our Apple Podcast review mailbag is on Saturday, but we read them on Friday. So get your questions in. It does take a little bit of time to show up on Apple Podcasts, so it's a good idea to get them in today. Please write us a nice review and leave your question, and we'll try to read them. My inbox, by the way, at fantasyfootball@cbsi.com is flooded. I've got over 100 emails that I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but I will try to answer some of your start-sit questions before the game starts tonight. Facebook giveaway this week, your unsung hero of fantasy playoffs in the past. And don't forget, if you don't hear your question answered on this show, on the mailbag, or if we don't get back to you on Twitter or whatever, Ion Fantasy Football, our radio show, Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. That's a great time to get your question heard on the air. It's on CBS Sports Radio, 10 p.m. to midnight on Saturday, Eastern Time, and it's also on Sirius Channel 206. Kind of an interesting week because there are some really interesting streaming quarterbacks that we've talked about, not today, but on Tuesday and a little bit on Wednesday. Ryan Tannehill, Ryan Fitzpatrick, etc. But Lamar Jackson at Buffalo, Patrick Mahomes at New England, Deshaun Watson against Denver, Russell Wilson at the Rams, Drew Brees against the Niners, Dak Prescott against the Bears, at the Bears. They all have pretty tough matchups here. The Broncos haven't been so great lately, so maybe Watson doesn't. I don't know. But what do you think about just that in general, that 6 of the best quarterbacks in fantasy do not have favorable matchups this week? In fact, have unfavorable.
5 of the best quarterbacks in fantasy. Like Drew Brees has averaged 19 fantasy points per game this year. The other guys are all in the top 6.
But listen, he's Drew Brees at home this week. Drew Brees at home is an elite quarterback. But fair enough. But 5-6 quarterbacks that would typically be started, what do you make of that?
I mean, this is the age-old question when you get to the playoffs. I mean, it's really every week, but when you get to the playoffs, do you play the guys who got you here, or do you get cute and try and play some matchups? Really, the only one that I think that you're getting away from of that group is Brees. Yep. So you can argue Russell Wilson just based on how he's performed with his lack of attempts, and we've seen it work out well. We've seen it, just ruin your week. But there's no way you're benching Mahomes at this point, or Watson. Watson proved last week what he can do in a tough matchup. So it's just one of those things. I think you stick with the guys that got you here, unless you feel overwhelmingly confident about a Fitzpatrick or a Darnold, or you're lucky enough to have maybe a Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins or Carson Wentz on your bench.
Yeah, those 3 I think are probably easier than calls to start, rather than like going to the Fitzpatrick Tannehill route. Cousins and Wentz. Like Wentz for you guys is top 4 quarterback. So if you're nervous about your quarterback, you go with Wentz. Cousins is what, 6th, 8th, and Heath has him 11th, and Mayfield 7th for Jamie.
I don't like Mayfield.
12th and 24th. Wow.
It's what has Baker Mayfield done this year? And the Bengals defense looked a little bit better last week, and I think this.
You want to know why they look better?
I think they're going to run the
week?
ball because they're facing Sam Darnold.
Yeah. But they were playing against a depleted offensive line
Oh.
and a Jets offense that dropped 5 passes, including a touchdown.
Heath didn't hear the stat I gave yesterday.
This might change my mind.
Right. So Baker Mayfield has faced an impossible schedule this year.
You told me this stat yesterday, and I told you. I actually responded to you.
I know, but you didn't. But it wasn't to my satisfaction.
I mean, he lit them up 64 fantasy points against them in 2 matchups last year. He's got 4 games with 20 or more fantasy points. All of them have been at home. So, I mean, he plays well in this building.
And he's getting his left tackle back.
I just wonder if, and we're going to start to see this at this point in the season, when you know your coach is on the hot seat, and especially Baker starting to hear national media say Freddie might not be the right thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not happy with the situation, he's not going to throw a game, obviously. But you see the gas pedal gets lifted up a little bit.
Well, it could be like the Rodgers situation they said last year, where Rodgers was just kind of calling his own plays and not listening to what the coaches were saying.
Great example.
Right.
Perfect example of just discord in the building, discord in the room, upset in the locker room, and they take it out on the field. And so that's my only concern is if he's a Freddie guy, he's going to have a great game. If he's not a Freddie guy, I don't know. But I'm starting Baker. I love the setup for Baker. I think he's going to play for Freddie. I think he's going to light up the Bengals.
What if he plays for Monken? What if he plays for
Monken's
Odell and Landry? I have a hard time believing he's going to purposely
He's
suck.
got a great matchup.
It's not purposely suck. It's not purposely suck. It's just
it's not buying into the plan.
The mindset's not the same. You're not motivated to be out there at the same level that you typically are, especially now that they got eliminated last week.
Sure.
So it's you go through the motions a little bit. So I just think Baker's mentality, like what he said yesterday about when he was asked about his hand injury. Did you hear the quote? He said, "Mama didn't raise no wuss."
That's such a ridiculous quote.
It is, but
all the bravado from that guy. Just go out and play. But
I think he will. I think he will. The Bengals had it's like the Falcons. They had their 2-game stretch of we're playing for Quinn and everything was great, and then they reverted back to who they were. The Bengals got Andy Dalton last week, and they had a great game, and they played an inept Jets offense that had been playing a little bit over their heads probably the previous few weeks. And I think Baker's going to come out there at home against a team that he's beaten up before in a spot that he plays well, and he'll play well.
All right, cool. So we got more games to preview. We got news and notes. We got to talk about Eli Manning. What? But first, ZipRecruiter. Hiring can be a slow process. Cafe Altura's COO Dylan Miskowitz needed to hire a director of coffee for his organic coffee company, but he was having trouble finding qualified applicants, so he switched to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. So you're going to get qualified candidates fast with ZipRecruiter. Now, Dylan posted his job on ZipRecruiter, and he said he was impressed by how quickly he had great candidates apply. And he also used ZipRecruiter's candidate rating feature to filter his applicants so he could focus on the most relevant ones. I mean, these are really efficient tools if you're trying to get somebody hired. That's how Dylan found his new director of coffee in just a few days. So with results like that, it's no wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See why ZipRecruiter is effective for businesses of all sizes. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/FFT. That's our web address, ZipRecruiter.com/FFT. ZipRecruiter.com/FFT. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Okay, news and notes. Let's fire through these guys. Eli Manning likely to start this week, and the Giants could be completely healthy in their receiving core with Golden Tate and Evan Ingram.
Done with the Eagles as streamers. Done with the Eagles as streamers, probably.
Well, there'll be a pick 6.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. That Eli Manning does not throw interceptions at the same rate as Daniel Jones. Does not fumble at the same rate as Daniel Jones.
Now?
Yes, he is never. No, I'm serious. Like,
look at how bad he is.
100%. Eli's interception rate over the last 3 seasons, probably the worst 3 seasons of his career, is 2.3%. Yep. Jones had a higher rate this year. Daniel Jones has fumbled. Listen, has fumbled more times this season in 10 games than Eli ever has in a full season. Daniel Jones' sack rate this year is higher than Eli's sack rate has ever been.
I think
Daniel Jones is a better quarterback for a defense to face than Eli Manning.
So you've got Eli in your top 10, 5?
That said nothing about Eli scoring fantasy points.
I know.
Eli preventing the other team from scoring fantasy points because he dumps the ball off to Saquon Barkley and Evan Ingram and doesn't do anything with it.
You're 100% right. I wonder, though, if he comes out and F it. I got nothing to lose. I'm throwing the ball all over the place here. I don't care. Monday Night Football is the last time.
He doesn't want to get hit. I think he just comes out and just dinks and dunks and doesn't get hit, doesn't get sacked, doesn't throw picks, doesn't fumble. And it's
I think it's going to be a fun game
for the Eagles. I think
I'm kind of excited for the game now.
Yeah. I mean, he's a better passer right now than Daniel Jones.
All the time. What is with you people?
This happens all the time?
Yes, this happens all the time. The Giants are going to win. People say this. I think
No.
They
They're not
suck.
going to win.
They're going to get killed. They're going to get killed.
I think they might win.
Wins.
I don't think they're going to get killed.
Especially after this rant.
I don't think they're going to get killed. The Dolphins just beat the Eagles.
The Dolphins are going to beat the Giants in 2 weeks. Cam Newton
I think the Dolphins are going to beat the Giants in 2 weeks too. But I think you look at this way. You said it. They're finally healthy. When has they ever? This season they haven't had everybody healthy.
They got their QB1 back.
All right.
They got their
please.
tight end one back.
Enough. I cannot talk about that team anymore. Cam Newton's going to have foot surgery. Baker Mayfield says he's going to play. He's going to play. Running back news. Dalvin Cook was listed as limited, but he insists he will play this week. If he's still limited on Thursday, what do we do with the Thursday night guys? Obviously not Zeke, compared to Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison.
I think, you play it safe. Obviously, you don't want to get stuck with a 0 for Dalvin if he's ruled inactive. That doesn't seem to be the case, but I have the way I feel this could go is that Cook could almost be the backup or emergency running back if they're concerned about his injury and they let Madison go out there and see how he does to start the game. That's just total gut feeling. But, if you have a situation of David Montgomery versus Dalvin Cook, you wait that out if you can.
Yeah, maybe go pick up, Patrick Laird's still available in 76% of leagues. Go pick him up and just, if Cook doesn't play, then you play Laird.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a hell of a drop-off if that ends up happening.
Well, the drop-off
is Montgomery to Laird, not Cook.
I don't know if there's much drop-off from Montgomery to Laird in PPR.
Sure, in PPR, I guess that's closer.
Damian Williams missed practice, so we're not expecting Darrell. There's a chance Damian will play, and we'll have to see what happens there. Marlon Mac returned to practice. Do we think he's going to play at Tampa Bay?
Yes.
Would you start Montgomery
No.
or Mac?
Montgomery.
Yeah.
So you want to sit Mac?
I was listening to, I don't know if you guys talked to Dr. Chow about this on Monday, but I was just listening to him on a radio interview prior to the show, and he said most likely he's carrying the ball. I forget which hand it is, but he's carrying the ball in the other hand, probably the entire game. And for a guy that doesn't work in the passing game, he said you're probably not going to see him at all in that regard because he can't pass protect. So in a matchup against a team that specifically shuts down the run, it's hands off for me.
All right, James Conner was limited. He has a chance to play this week. Jordan Howard still day-to-day, but we don't think he's going to play as of now. Bruce Arians said Ronald Jones is his starter, but he didn't commit to Jameis Winston in 2020.
I just want to say real quick
now,
on Jordan Howard, because anybody listening to this, if you have to make the decision for Thursday, this is their first practice. So just keep an eye on the Eagles practice report.
He'll be limited. He's been limited this whole time.
I would 100% agree with you. But again, just if you're factoring, because we had the conversation, Montgomery versus the Eagles guys, just take a look at the practice report for Howard. If he practices in full, then maybe you make a different arrangement or a different lineup decision when it comes to Sanders versus Montgomery.
Would you start a Thursday night running back or Ronald Jones?
Thursday night running back.
I'd start a Tuesday night running back over Ronald Jones.
Kerryon Johnson returned to practice, and he actually is eligible to return in Week 16, where he would face Denver. So that's Kerryon Johnson. Sean McVay said Todd Gurley getting more work lately is about McVay not being an idiot. So he wants to use Gurley as much as he can. And Josh Jacobs is playing through a fractured shoulder. He's still been pretty good. Wide receivers, T.Y. Hilton doesn't know if he'll play this season, so don't expect him this week at Tampa Bay. Juju Smith-Schuster still week to week. It seems unlikely to play this week. Julio Jones, though, and Calvin Ridley, they both were limited. We think Julio and Ridley will both play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Golden Tate and Evan Ingram could be back this week. A.J. Green is out. Taylor Gabriel is out. Adam Thielen missed practice. We will see on him. Austin Hooper expected to play this week. Gerald Everett missed practice. So
Higbee.
Tyler Higbee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to choose last night between Higbee and Gesicki, picking him up off waivers. I think I picked up Gesicki, but I don't think Higbee's going to get added, so I could make a Sunday
They're
swap.
They're both good.
Yeah, they're both good. And Greg Olsen missed practice, so we're not expecting him.
When you guys look up, I wonder what's Todd Gurley's cap hit if they cut him after the season?
I'm on
Yeah,
it.
Dave?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we'll find out.
I just wonder if just what you said about Gurley, can they just run him into the ground these next few weeks and then move on?
This is kind of what we thought would happen all along, was that they'd limit him, and then once they get to the playoff run in December, they let him go.
I think it's still big.
It's an $8.4 million cap hit if they let him go in 2020. Yeah, in this day and age in the NFL, it's something they actually save. I'm sorry. The dead money is $25 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And the cap
that is a
savings
lot.
is negative $8.4 million. They got to keep him for 2020. I read it wrong. My bad.
Okay, the Saints hope to get Teron Armstead, their left tackle, back, but probably not going to get Andrews Pete back, their left guard. And defensively, the Jets secondary is super beat up, so they got the Dolphins. Gerald McCoy missed practice. The Panthers' run defense is going to be even worse. Xavier Rhodes said he's battling through some stuff. He's playing beat up, apparently, and it's showing. The Colts claim kicker Chase McLaughlin off waivers. He was on the 49ers. He actually did a pretty nice job, but they have Robbie Gould back, and McLaughlin might play this week. Vinatieri's on the injury report. Tennessee cornerback Adoree Jackson missed practice. Seattle defensive end Ezekiel Ansah has a stinger. Richard Sherman has a knee issue, and Miles Jack for the Jaguars likely out this week. Let's do some rankings disputes. Here we go. So today we got 7 AFC home games, plus I put Sunday Night Football, Seattle, and the Rams on this. Jared Goff, 14th for Dave and Jamie, 23rd for Heath. We'll go Jamie versus Heath here. Heath, you don't like Jared Goff this week.
I should have said this about Baker Mayfield too. It feels like to me there are 20 quarterbacks this week that I'm fine with starting, and I don't really want to take a chance on what's been an up and down season for Jared Goff. He did look better recently, but I don't have a lot of confidence in him.
I totally get that, and it's reason to say that given what he showed us prior to last week. But I think they got their confidence back a little bit as an offense. The receiving core is healthy again. I also think that there's going to be some points in this game. I think you're going to see the Seattle offense show up and put some points on the Rams defense. And I think Goff at home is typically a good play. If they can protect him, that's the biggest thing with him because he's such a rhythm quarterback. If they can protect him, then I think he's going to have a chance to put up not what he did last week. He's not going to have
400 yards.
Yeah, but he should have multiple touchdowns, and I think he's in that low end starting group. I'm with you. There's a lot of guys you can say Darnold better, Fitzpatrick better, Tannehill better. I totally get that, but I just think that Jared Goff is worth buying back into after how he played against the Cardinals. It's not going to be again the same level, but I think he's worth starting.
Okay, Gardner Minshew. Let's do Dave versus Heath here. Jamie's got Minshew 20th. Heath has him 10th. And Dave has him outside the top 24, facing the Chargers at
That's
home.
the player you hate.
I guess that's the player
go.
I hate. And I'd be stunned if anybody started him in their fantasy playoffs.
I've got him
in
starting
his
my
first game
fantasy
back?
playoffs. My first game
Over who?
Yes, Kyler Murray.
All right, I get that you probably have trust issues with both of those guys, but I still think there's probably a little more upside for Kyler than there is for Minshew.
Gardner Minshew in America has been pretty fantastic. Basically 20 fantasy points per game. I think this Chargers team, second consecutive road game going across the
Actually,
country.
their fourth consecutive.
Even like doubly bad. Twice as bad
pretty
as
bad.
second consecutive road game.
Their 13th consecutive.
13th. They've never had a home game. And
Wait, you forgot last year.
I like the offense for quarterback production because of John DeFilippo. I'm not sure he's good for winning games, but I think he's good for quarterback production. I like his weapons, and I think he's going to cut loose a little bit in this game. I'm perfectly maybe Jared Goff has more upside on a weekly basis than Gardner Minshew does, but I feel much more confident in Gardner Minshew's floor because he's going to run just a little bit, and he's really almost every game in his last 5 over 300 total yards. He had some touchdown problems, but over 300 total yards.
I got more faith in
Yield
Mitchell
your time.
Trubisky than I do in Gardner Minshew.
He's had so many more
This
terrible
isn't about
games.
the matchup as much as it is about a quarterback who's probably just not going to try and make mistakes. This is a game I think they can win with Leonard Fournette. And I just don't see Gardner Minshew going off and having a big game.
The most interesting game script storyline to me is in this game because the Chargers see the fewest pass attempts in the NFL, but the Jaguars have thrown 41 or more passes in 4 straight games because they have been blown out by 17 or more points in 4 straight games. Mm-hmm. Also, if you notice, since Melvin Ingram returned, the Chargers' run defense has actually gotten a lot better. Running backs are averaging just 3.43 yards per carry against the Chargers in their last 4 games. So, teams typically don't throw the ball on the Chargers, which is why they've been so good against quarterbacks. The Jaguars have been throwing a ton because they stink lately. I don't really know how that's going to go, but pass attempts could determine Gardner Minshew's fate this week.
And so because you don't have a good feel about how it's going to go, I think the full range of outcomes is out there for Gardner Minshew, but I still think it's more bloody likely that he ends up disappointing than thriving. All
right, 2 more rankings disputes here. Let's go with...
You got Gus Bradley going back to Jacksonville. Forgot about that.
Let's go with PPR and Chris Carson. And we'll go Dave versus Heath again. And Dave, you have Chris Carson 12th in PPR, and Heath, you have him 21st. Heath, you get the first word. Chris Carson at the Rams.
Yeah, I worry about the fact that Carson only saw one. Part of the big boost for him this year has been that they've thrown the ball to the running backs more. They talked about wanting to do that. And then last week, that was where Penny was more involved. I think he had 5 targets to Carson's 1 target. There's a little bit of uncertainty about inside the 5 or 10 yard line. Will it be Chris Carson or will it be Penny? And I don't think Carson's going to pull himself out at the 1 to give Penny a touchdown again, but it might be that Penny's in the game when they get there and they just leave him in because they clearly trust him in that role. So I just think Rashad Penny has taken a chunk out of Chris Carson's floor and ceiling.
I think he's taken a chunk out of the ceiling for sure, but I still think he's absolutely worth starting. The last 3 times these teams have met, the lead back for Seattle has had a monster game. 2 of those 3 times, the second back has also had a very good game for Seattle, and the Rams have looked great against the run against teams like Chicago and Arizona. They've stunk against run-first teams like the Ravens, the Niners, and even Week 5 against Seattle. So I think Chris Carson's absolutely worth starting, and I think the Seattle, if they have their druthers, they're going to give both these guys a lot of run, and if only one guy's going to get the carries, maybe they fall behind a little bit. I think it's going to be Carson, not Penny.
And I've got Carson 21st, so I'm mostly still starting.
That's where I had him last week, and look what happened. He ended up having a good game, and Penny ended up just getting the extra touchdown.
I think the for me with Carson, I think what he's like, you're right. This isn't about the matchup. This isn't about, I think, the workload, because Carson will still, I think, get more touches. But I think the catches, if you're just going based on what happened last week, it's probably going to be Penny having more receptions than Carson. And it's a matter, I think, who fought. They're not scoring, what, they have 3 rushing touchdowns last week?
Right.
I don't think they're getting
3 total.
Well, they're probably not running it 45 times either.
Right.
So they had the ball for 40 minutes.
Carson could definitely have a very solid game, but if he doesn't score and it's Penny, then that's just, I think, where Carson loses a little bit. So he's still the better of the 2 running backs, and this is just one of those things where I think it's just who you have on your roster, who you feel more comfortable with. Like, you're starting Carson over Myles Sanders, right? In PPR. Like, I would start Sanders over Carson in PPR. You would as well.
And Freeman.
And Freeman too. Yeah. Like I made that decision in a big fantasy game last week, and it worked out because even though both were good, Sanders was better in PPR.
Okay, last one here. John Brown. Had to go with John Brown, right? I'll go Jamie versus Heath here, even though Dave is actually the lowest on John Brown. But Jamie has Brown 26th. He's facing Baltimore. 26th in non-PPR, 32nd in PPR. Heath has John Brown as his number 1 10th in non-PPR, 11th in PPR. Jamie, you think John Brown is a borderline start this week? I'm
just worried about the targets. I mean, we've seen the last 2 weeks, the targets have come down for him, and he's facing an amazing secondary in this matchup where I think Josh Allen's going to struggle. So I'm just concerned about it, and I say that we have him on our show today on CBS Sports HQ. He came on to talk to us. He actually said it's going to be a field goal game. So I don't know if that's high scoring comes down to a field goal or low scoring comes down to a field goal. I would lean toward low scoring based on how these 2 defenses operate. So I'm just a little bit concerned about Brown. He's been passed in terms of targets the last, whatever it is, certainly 2 weeks, but I think maybe over the last month in terms of targets from Cole Beasley. So I just worry about Josh Allen developing as a quarterback, spreading the ball around a little bit, not necessarily John Brown having a big game. I don't know if he's going to throw for a touchdown again. So he's become touchdown dependent in some tough matchups, and this is a tough matchup.
Yeah, I think this probably tells as much about my process as anything, because John Brown has had 2 games where the targets have been a major concern with just 4. The 2 games before that, he had 25 targets in 2 games. And I expect this is a game where Baltimore is going to have to lead. Buffalo is going to struggle to run a little bit, and they're going to have to throw more passes than they normally do. So I expect Brown's targets to come back up, and when he's gotten targets, he's been very good.
All right, so Jimmy Smith's been back for 5 games. Also, Marcus Peters is there now. In those 5 games with Jimmy Smith, 4 wide receivers have had 80 or more yards. They were Sanu, Edelman, Hopkins, and Robert Woods. Robert Woods was junk. That was almost all on the final drive. Tyler Boyd, Emmanuel Sanders, 2 of the 3 Rams wide receivers, they were all terrible. So it hasn't been a good matchup, and it will be interesting to see what happens here as you guys have Josh Allen as a sit. And we will preview
Tyler Boyd had 6
for
for 62. He wasn't terrible.
Pretty bad.
12 PPR points is right around what John Brown gives you from week to week.
He has.
Yeah.
That was his floor for quite a while.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Like
4 at his ceiling. Okay, so real quick, guys, before we get into Kansas City, New England, start, sit, or flex at best, Devon Singletary against Baltimore.
I'll start him.
I will too. I mean, I don't know if it's so tough to run on Baltimore like what we saw last week.
Yeah.
Their run defense has gotten a little leaky lately.
I mean, the 49ers are one of the best run offenses in the NFL, though.
But I bet the Bills think of themselves as a
They
team
probably
that can do that.
They're going to try.
I think they're going to try.
Marquise Brown in that game.
Sit.
Sit.
Okay. And who's next on this list? There we go. Well, because we talked about John Brown. We talked about DJ Chark. Mike Williams at Jacksonville.
Flex.
I'm sitting him. I mean, we've all got ranked the same, so I guess we should say the same thing. But I think I'm sitting.
I'm sitting him too.
I'd really like to start him. No, we don't have. We had the wrong guy ranked up on the screen, so I said something that wasn't true. Jamie definitely likes Mike Williams more than I do, but I'm sitting him.
How about Odell Beckham at Cincinnati, home against Cincinnati?
Must start.
I got him as a top 24 receiver. I don't know how high you've got him this week.
You see it right in front of you?
Oh, yeah. There it is. Just a couple spots
FanDuel.
higher than me. I'm the low guy on Odell.
Start him.
But we like him as a number 2.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Kareem Hunt against Cincinnati.
Start.
I like him too. Start
him.
Joe Mixon.
Start him.
You're probably starting him.
Yeah.
John Ross.
No. Sit.
Stash.
Okay.
Week 16 against the Dolphins. John Ross is going to win some people championships.
No, AJ Green will.
It's going to be Eli Manning and John Ross.
How funny would it be if AJ Green plays week?
Right.
I wish he plays week 17.
Wait, hold on. AJ Green plays week 16. It's his first game of the season. He's facing the Dolphins. Where do you rank AJ Green?
1. That's his contract game.
Okay, here we go. Kansas City at New England. So, stat of the game, Patriots give up the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. The Chiefs give up the 4th fewest points to wide receivers. Edelman is going to be an easy start. Do you have any hesitation in starting Tyreek Hill this week?
No. Way too much upside.
No. Okay. I mean, maybe if I had Devante Parker and DJ Moore and Tyreek Hill, I might sit Tyreek Hill.
All right. He was pretty bad against them last time out. That was in the playoffs. He had like 40 yards. Of course, he was
really good against them in the first game they played, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, so if you look at New England and you look at all the elite wide receivers, it's about midway through 2018, they just became amazing. Devontae Adams, 40 yards. Thielen, 28 yards. Diggs, 49 yards. Antonio Brown, 49. Juju, 40 yards. Keenan Allen, 2 catches, 75 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 42 yards. Now, a lot of those guys scored, so I will say that. But even this year, they've just been even better. So
holy cow, he had 7 for 142 and 3 touchdowns at Foxborough last year.
That was the last time an elite wide receiver had like a really big game, although I think Brandon Cooks did in the Super Bowl as well. But yeah, since that game, elite wide receivers have really struggled in terms of yards, but a lot of them have scored. All right, so you'll start Tyreek Hill. I get it. It's hard to sit Tyreek Hill one big play, and he makes it there. Let's actually begin with the Patriots. Dave, you're the low guy on Tom Brady. Jamie and Heath have him right around 13th. You have him 21st.
Yeah, just nervous about him being close to a top 12 fantasy quarterback when so many of his numbers came playing from behind last week.
Fair point. Heath, Jamie, here to respond.
He could be playing from behind again. The Chiefs score a lot of points often. Yeah,
I mean, I think this game's going to be a high-scoring affair. I look at his numbers at home based on I'm not going to look at the Dallas game as a good indicator of him not playing well at home. I just think that they can't run. This is just a team that cannot run the ball with any level of success. And I think that, this is I don't buy into this Chiefs defense all of a sudden being magically fixed because they took on Phillip Rivers and Derek Carr in their building in the last 2 weeks, and all of a sudden their secondary is better. It's not a good defense. So I think Brady's going to come out and have success. And last 2 games against them last year, he was over 300 yards in both.
I do think their pass rush is better, though. They've gotten healthy up front, and we know that the Patriots are going to go with a backup center. And I wonder if there's just going to be some mistakes made there. And that could hurt Brady a little bit. He'll have a little bit less time to throw. He'll get sacked a little bit. I think that's been part of the key for the Chiefs defense, playing great against bad quarterbacks. But before the last 2 games, there were a number of quarterbacks that had really good games against Kansas City.
Okay, and Frank Clark for the Chiefs is questionable with a shoulder injury. So
yeah, but I'm not even sure if he's their best pass rusher anymore.
Still a pass rusher, but fair enough.
Yep.
Brady has faced 4 teams that rank 20th or worse against quarterbacks, and he has scored 21 or more points in all 4 of the matchups. The Chiefs are 21st against quarterbacks, and usually worse on the road. So you mentioned, Jamie, that they can't run. Can they run this week against one of the worst run defenses in football?
They'll try.
Starter sit Michelle and James White.
White's a must start in PPR. I would sit Sony Michel everywhere else.
Agreed.
Okay, no faith in Michelle. Rashad Penny or Sony Michel?
Penny.
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 Okay.
Little
they
Penny.
Gave up the most.
I'll go Michelle in
the most
non-PPR.
fantasy
Penny and
points to
PPR.
running back.
Typically, what I
5.1
do
yards
with
per carry to running back.
we all have a different way we do our rankings. What I do is the first thing I do when I go to running backs, I put Christian McCaffrey at the top and I put Sony Michel at 30, and I just work from there.
Chiefs have really struggled, by the way, against the pass-catching running backs lately. So, it's a good setup for James White. The Patriots wide receivers. I did not realize that Mohamed Sanu played 22% of the snaps last week. I think maybe Jacoby Myers is just replacing him.
I don't know if that's the case. I noticed that as well. He was their primary punt returner, and then when they were, going 3 wide receiver, 4 wide receivers, just trying to, find some semblance of a passing game, that's when he was on the field and he had the bad fourth quarter drop, which we all remember. He, I think, is still battling through that ankle injury, but this is where it's going to be in terms of how Brady operates. Edelman's going to get his numbers. White's going to get his numbers. Who's going to be the third guy? Is it Myers after the 7 targets last week? Is this Dorsett over the top for a big play? Is this Sanu maybe getting healthy? It's one of those guys has to help him in some capacity. And so that's, I think, is where we'll see Brady's ceiling versus floor. So I think somebody's going to step up. I couldn't tell you who it's going to be, but I think one of those 3 guys will have a decent game. So if you're looking DFS, take a chance on one of those 3 guys if you want to. I would lean Myers just based on the targets last week.
But in seasonal, Edelman's the only one we're starting, right?
You can't trust those guys, yeah.
Right. Okie dokie. So is it Ben Watson? Even though Chiefs stink against tight ends, yes. Patrick Mahomes. Anything to really break down here? 4th for Jamie, 2nd for Dave, 6th for Heath. You start
I'd start
Mahomes.
Carson Wentz over him.
I would too.
But the thing is, he really hasn't been great, since the first 3 games of the season. I mentioned the stats in his last 7 games. 61% of his passes, the completion rate, 7.5 yards per attempt, on pace for 23 touchdowns in those 7 games. He did leave one of them early. Threw 50 touchdowns last year. So I don't know. Do you see enough in Patrick Mahomes? He scored 21 points against the Raiders last week. Do you see enough in him to really feel like he's a must-start at New England?
It's the same thing what we talked about earlier in the show. It's you can make an easy argument for Wentz, Cousins. I'll still say Baker. These guys that have good matchups that could have a higher ceiling, but you're still talking about the best quarterback in football. He may not be the MVP this year, but he's the best quarterback in football.
Yeah, he's having a bad stretch and he's averaging 7.5 yards per attempt, which is above league average.
Yeah, and we saw the Patriots. I don't know, Adam, if you saw the practice reports for Jason McCourty, if he's going to play.
He's questionable. We don't know yet.
That was a scenario that the Texans clearly exposed and picked on. And so if you're looking at it, maybe Tyreek Hill doesn't have the same, 140-3?
Right.
He doesn't have that. But Kelsey will get his numbers. I know Chung has been very good against tight ends. You're just not.
Kelsey will get it. Yep.
It's
fine.
I'm not sitting Patrick Mahomes. Even if I have Carson Wentz, I'm probably not still sitting Mahomes because I don't want to lose my fantasy playoff game because I sat what is the best quarterback in football.
All right, let's talk about the Chiefs running backs here. So,
do we have to?
Yeah,
yes, we do.
Yes, this is really important, actually. So, would you start a Chiefs running back over a struggling Aaron Jones against the Redskins?
No.
I would not do that.
Would you start Devon Singletary or a Chiefs running back?
Singletary.
Chiefs running backs.
Yeah, same. Devon Singletary.
Really? Okay. So, who would you start a Chiefs running back over? Dave, you're the one who said you like LeSean McCoy.
Rashad Penny. I'd start McCoy over Penny.
I would too. I would start him over Philip Lindsay. Start him over Montgomery. Start him over Geis. Kenyon Drake, a Bucks running back.
I'd start Drake and Lindsay and Montgomery over him.
I would too. This is going to come down to touchdowns because he just hasn't been getting the work. It's so you look at it. There's been 4 games now where Damian Williams has either left or been hurt, and 2 guys in every game has found the end zone. You're facing a team in the Patriots that has allowed 2 touchdowns to running backs on the season. So if he scores, he's going to be fine. If he doesn't score, I don't think he's going to be very good just because they haven't given him the typical workload that you see from a Chiefs running back.
We've seen.
Dave, let me ask you this, though. If Damian Williams plays, he's the only guy that they've actually given big work to. if Damian Williams plays, what would that mean for Damian Williams and LeSean McCoy?
It would hurt because now both of them would split. And
I would actually feel more comfortable about I'd start Damian Williams.
about starting Williams over McCoy?
Yeah.
But you know that they would both play. And I think it would totally change. I would start Williams ahead of McCoy if that were to happen. But I wouldn't feel as good about it as I do now about LeSean McCoy as a top 24 running back.
He'd have to have a full practice for me to want to start him, really. Because
And I think
like,
he would need it
how
for the Chiefs to want to
is
start
he
him.
in a Dalvin Cook situation where one shot to the ribs and Damian Williams can't play anymore? So he doesn't have the upside of Dalvin Cook.
First of all, you
But-
say that about Dalvin Cook, and we don't know if that's Dalvin Cook's
Well, it
situation
happened
or not.
twice in his most recent game. He got hit in the shoulder and he couldn't play anymore.
Sure. But that was in the most recent game. It's not like something that's been laid out and the Vikings are, well, obviously the Vikings aren't going to come out and say something like that, but it would
That's
just
pretty-
make
that's pretty much
so
what
much
Dr. Chow
sense that
said,
the
right?
Vikings sit him down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, bottom line is this. I
yeah.
really feel like when the Chiefs have played the Patriots, the running backs have had huge numbers. We've seen that. At least 13 non-PPR points each of the 5 games Reed has coached against them, and that includes Sharkhandrick West getting 13 points. And sometimes, in 4 of those games, it's been 24 or more non-PPR fantasy points because the Patriots just kind of play in this bend but don't break type
But
of
how has that history compared to what they've done this year with their guys?
Well, what they've done this year and what they might have to do this week are 2 completely different things because they might not have enough running backs that they feel good about going with. How good
So
do they
let's-
possibly feel about Darwin Thompson
But
when
is-
he's been
is-
an ornament on the bench all season long?
Sure, but I mean, there's enough of a sample size with McCoy, with Williams, and without Williams that they haven't given him that.
Sure,
workload.
because they've had the other Williams there. They've had other
All right.
running
well, they
backs that
also
they're
had
confident in.
Thompson last
satisfied.
week too.
I'm satisfied.
And
with
they
this,
ran him when
discussion.
it was
Thank
in
you.
garbage time.
Well, I mean, it could be the
So-
same thing this way if they're losing.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
moving
That's
on.
possible.
Tyreek Hill start. Travis Kelce sit. Start. Travis Kelce start. Don't sit Travis Kelce. And that's it. Patriots DST start or sit.
That's it.
Sit if you can, but don't drop them.
Okay. Right. About to get really good for them. So that's it. That's the Chiefs and the Patriots. The other games don't matter. Thanks for listening, everybody. No, FanDuel matters quite a bit. In fact, you should join our FanDuel contest, FanDuel.com/league/FFT. Join for $5. Play against us every week. FanDuel.com/league/FFT. In fact, if you haven't signed up for FanDuel, now's a great time. FanDuel.com/FFT. FanDuel.com/FFT. Just take the word league out of there. Make a $20 deposit. Get $5 back in site credit every week for 4 weeks. So again, it's FanDuel.com/FFT. We love FanDuel. I'm on a hot streak on FanDuel, man. Except I did a horrible job in the Monday Night Football game. You know, you can play a 1-game contest, and I had Tyler Lockett in there, DK Metcalf in there. It did not work out very well. But other than that, I've been doing really well. I'm having a lot of fun on FanDuel. I think the advice on this show is going to help you win some money on FanDuel. Lots of different types of contests you can play, 50-50s, tournaments. You can play high-stakes stuff. You can play where, 50-50 is a lot easier to win. You just don't win as much money. I like contests like that a lot. So get on FanDuel right now and see what all the fun is about on FanDuel at FanDuel.com/FFT.
Just while we're wrapping up that game, Darrell Williams was placed on IR.
Yes. Okay, Seattle at the Rams. So the stat of the game, Russell Wilson has been so Russell Wilson-like against the Rams in his last 3 games. He scored 25, 32, and 37 fantasy points. He's thrown 21, 26, and 23 passes with 3 touchdown passes in all 3 games. 3 or more. Probably making Heath go, he can't keep this up after the game. So Russell Wilson, let's be real here. 5 of his last 6 games, or he's been, I think, 20 or fewer fantasy points. Something like that. What did he
The
score
only one
this
he wasn't
past
was
week?
against the Rams, right?
No, it was against the Bucks.
Oh.
In this recent stretch. Yeah, he was very good against the Rams, but he scored, I think, 42 points against the Bucks, and the other 5 of 6, he has not been very good. He scored 11 to 20 fantasy points. So, start or sit, Russell Wilson.
Start him.
Start him.
Yeah, just hopefully this is one of his big games. I mean, whew, it's just
What would a bad game from Wilson look like from all the Seahawks? It would mean a lot of running, which is what they want to do, but I don't know if that's something that they're going to be able to do for 4 quarters.
They win 21-13 and score 2 of their touchdowns on the ground.
Okay. How likely is it that happens? I think there's a chance,
Well,
but I don't think it's a huge chance.
The last 5 weeks would make it look more likely than we are ranking it like, but I'm just going to hope that Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson again because he's not been good for most of the last month and a half for fantasy.
So Cousins, Mayfield, Wentz over Wilson?
I'm not starting any of them over Russell Wilson.
I'll take Wentz.
Oh, Wentz.
Yeah, I thought
probably.
Wentz. Yeah. Okay. I mean, now that Eli Manning's playing, it's going to be such a shootout, Heath, that Wentz is going to have to throw.
I do think Eli Manning playing is better for Carson Wentz for sure.
I think it's worse for Carson Wentz because they won't score as many
Eli
points.
Manning is better than Daniel Jones currently.
You are Jared Goff. We talked about 14th for David Jamie, 23rd for Heath. Todd Gurley, like or love Todd Gurley this week?
Like.
Yeah, I probably need to move him up a little bit. I think I'm the low guy on him. The only thing that worries me is this trend so far this year. And I know they say they're not managing anything with Todd Gurley's knee and everything's fine and he's never had any problems, but he's had 19 or more carries in 4 games this season. In the game following that, he's either missed the game or had 11 or fewer touches in all the other games. So I hope that Todd Gurley is just fine, and Sean McVay's statement that he's going to stop being an idiot and give Todd Gurley the ball makes me want to project him for more touches.
I think the one game that I would throw out in that is the Ravens game, because I don't think that was by design, like to limit his touches. I think that just happened.
Right.
Yeah. Rams wide receivers. Okay, you can't trust Brandon Cooks, right?
No.
Who do you like better, Woods or Kupp?
Woods.
Kupp or Gurley as a flex?
Kupp and PPR.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is Robert Woods a must start at this point? 80 or more receiving yards in 4 of his last 5?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I think easier in PPR, obviously, based on the lack of touchdowns. But it's hard to get away from it. Like DJ Moore leading into the 2-touchdown game. There's just so many targets there. There's the floor is pretty good. You're talking 8 or 9 points in non-PPR, and then just hopefully this is going to be the week that he finds the end zone.
What makes it really hard for me about saying receivers are must starts when they're ranked in the teens is that like Devante Parker and DJ Moore were guys that were taken so late and they're top 10 wide receivers. Like if you have those guys, then no, he's not a must start.
Sure, right.
The percentages bear it out. What would you say just while Devante Parker start percentages?
It's like 55% or something.
No, it's much higher than that.
90.
Is it?
83.
Yeah, I think
but
80.
But for his production, it should be 105.
Right.
That's just what he's been doing.
Okay, give me the Tyler Higbee scenarios here with and without Gerald Everett.
Well, you go back to the first meeting, Gerald Everett beat them up. So it's a situation where this, I think, is what's hurt Brandon Cooks. It's what's hurt Cooper Kupp over the last month. They've started using their tight ends really starting around that time when these first 2 teams met. But I think Higbee, you've seen the just natural growth with Everett's wrist injury, then the knee injury, and then with Everett not being there last week. And again, it was the free space against the Cardinals. But in a game where I think it's going to be high scoring, I think they're going to have to throw. And Jared Goff has leaned on his tight ends enough to say he's in that top 12 conversation. Just to give you an example, I would start Tyler Higbee over Mark Andrews. I like the setup better for Higbee than I do for Andrews this week.
That's scary.
Yeah, but I get where you're coming from on that.
Targets have been better.
Yep. No, it's true.
Well, for how many weeks has it been better?
Last 2 for Higbee.
Okay.
Higbee is my favorite streamer.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't but if we get Hooper back and we get Ingram back, we've got 10 tight ends that we actually like.
Just in time.
9 for you.
How much would you like Evan Ingram? You've got a crowded receiving core. And you've got Eli Manning.
Did you forget what he just said? Phil Simms is coming back.
He's got Eli Manning, check down Manning, who is going to hold the ball for 2 seconds and dump it to Barkley or Ingram. He would be a top 10 tight end.
It will be interesting to see for the Hooper and the Ingram owners who they picked up in place of those guys. Because, again, Higbee playing very well, and I don't think it's a tough matchup. Gesicki.
Oh, it's a great matchup.
It's not a tough
Higbee.
matchup. Right. It's
they
great
give
for
up
Higbee.
the 4th most fantasy points.
Right.
Exactly.
They're terrible against tight ends.
Gesicki in a what I think still a favorable matchup without Jamal Adams there and what he's done. And it's funny. Like you look, there's 2 scenarios. One is in tonight's game with Anthony Miller. Since Trey Burton went on IR, Anthony Miller's numbers have just skyrocketed. And since Preston Williams went down, Gesicki's numbers have skyrocketed.
Yep.
So that's the dilemma that I think a lot of people are going to have is who's and Kyle Rudolph too. People that picked up Rudolph if Thielen's out, same thing. So. I will probably not put Hooper and Ingram in the same spots where they were. It sounds like you are.
No, because I had Hooper as a top 3 tight end and Ingram was a top 5 or 6. They'll be in the top 10 for me.
I don't know if that they'll be probably 10 through 14 for me because I do like the setups for Higbee and Gesicki this week, and I think that they will play well in consecutive games.
Okay, so back to this game here. The Rams, we pretty much covered. Now the Seahawks. Talked about Russell Wilson. Talked about Chris Carson. Rashad Penny's a flex. We can compare him to some other guys. But how about Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf? What do you think this week for these guys? How would you compare them to the Rams receivers?
I'm ranking Metcalf as the number one receiver for the Seahawks because he's been the number one receiver for the last month for the Seahawks. So I don't feel comfortable with having Tyler Lockett outside of my top 25 wide receivers. I've got him right around 30. I think he's a fine flex, and I understand if you see Tyler Lockett's upside and just can't bench him.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Adam, can you rewind to the players you hate?
You want to put
Lockett
Lockett there?
No, Metcalf.
Oh.
Ooh.
Really?
I think Metcalf's getting Ramsey. It's the typical receiver that he takes away. He did it with Allen Robinson a couple weeks ago. I think it's going to be one of those situations where they put him on Metcalf because, like you said, he's been their number one guy. He's been leading them in targets. Lockett will eat him up if they give him the targets that he needs because this is the type of receiver that Ramsey struggles with when he does follow somebody.
For sure.
So I think if they keep Lockett in the slot, this is a game where he can surprise you. Now, there's no semblance of data to suggest that over the last 3 weeks because his targets have been down, his production has been down, so I get it if you want to bench him. But I just feel like if Russell Wilson's going to have to throw and be successful in this game, leaning on his receivers, I would take Lockett over DK Metcalf. I think this is a Lockett and Hollister game. I don't think that they're going to go at Ramsey if Ramsey follows Metcalf.
And that's the key. It's another one of those things that we just don't know because they've played a lot of zone the last couple of weeks. And
They played
not followed at all.
They played two running quarterbacks, and you have to play zone against running quarterbacks. So Lamar Jackson, they don't have a receiver that you have to worry about from Ramsey's perspective. And I don't think the same thing with the Cardinals guys too.
But Russell Wilson.
But he doesn't run like those guys.
But he will if it's a competitive game. He always does when the game's really.
I think if you play
not to the same degree,
turn your back.
But again,
but they're not going to do that against these guys.
But again, those two teams don't have a receiver like Metcalf, who's a big physical guy.
That part's true, yes.
And I think that's where you could just say, if you're Wade Phillips, take him away. Make Russell use the other guys, and let's see if they beat us that way.
And that's what they try to do, is that they've used the other guys, and not that you're going to lean on the David Moores and Malik Turners of the world.
But this has been a problem for Lockett. Yeah.
And they've been a problem
and
for
Hollister.
Lockett.
Hollister's
sure, as a short area target, for sure. I think if we believe that Russell Wilson's going to be a good quarterback, and if we believe that the Rams are going to put up points, then you've got to believe Tyler Lockett's got a chance, provided that he doesn't have the flu, and he doesn't want to just lay in bed like he said after the game last week.
And I haven't watched a whole lot of him closely because he hasn't had the ball thrown to him very much the last few weeks, and I haven't looked for ISO film of Tyler Lockett running routes, but it's also kind of coincided with that big injury that he had where he was in the hospital and then all of a sudden he was okay.
100%.
So I don't know if we know if Tyler Lockett's running his routes at the full speed.
They had a deep target to him. He looked like he was running fine. Russell just one of the rare times where he doesn't throw a pretty deep ball, but I don't think it's going to be the Tampa Bay game. What do you have? 14 catches in that game, or 14
and no
targets?
chance.
But I do think this could be a 3 for 60 and a touchdown game where he has one of the big splash plays because of the matchups that are set up for him comparatively to Metcalf.
Jacob Hollister or Tyler Higbee if Everett's out?
Higbee,
and Gesicki.
Okay. All right, they're ranked fairly similarly though, like around 12th. So
I've got him
Hollister's
back-to-back,
48% owned. Yeah, you can use them. And the Rams DST probably want to avoid. Yeah, you probably want to avoid the DSTs in this game. We got to take a quick break here. Denver at Houston when we come back on Fantasy Football Today. Okay, Denver at Houston. So is this a tough matchup for the Texans here, or are we cool with them?
Cool with them.
Yep.
I actually like Carlos Hyde a lot this week.
A lot?
Mm-hmm. Non-PPR more.
20?
He is 20 for me in non-PPR. Yeah.
Because Wolf's out.
Because Wolf's out, and because they're a 7-point favorite at home. I think it's going to be a game where they got the ball a lot. He's going to have 15-plus carries. His track record with 15-plus carries in non-PPR has been pretty good. So I like the setup for him to I think this is going to be a 60 to 80-yard game on the ground, and I do think he scores.
Interesting. Yeah, he usually gets a pretty good workload in their wins. I kind of like Will Fuller because there have been 5 wide receivers with 9 or more targets against the Broncos, and all of them are number 2 receivers. So,
how many of them have like 3 or fewer targets?
What do you mean?
Well, we just don't know how many targets Will Fuller is going to get. It's
That's
just
true,
such a
but
grab bag with him.
The trend is they don't throw at Chris Harris. So
you don't like DeAndre Hopkins?
I don't know. You guys seem to like him just fine. I mean, I think there's reason to be concerned about Hopkins.
I think you're right. Since the trade deadline, though, Chris Harris, he's playing hard. He's doing everything the right way, but he's given up a little bit more production than he did earlier in the season.
Seemingly one bad beat every week.
Yeah.
One big play.
He let Keenan Allen go. Where if you watch the game, it was a little hard to tell. Was he expecting help? Or they, it looked like they were in zone initially. Allen crossed the field. Harris apparently was supposed to follow him. He didn't. Allen had an easy touchdown. The play to John Brown. Locked him down the entire game.
Right.
He had the 34-yard
Brown got behind
touchdown.
him. Right.
This guy's a different animal because they're not going to shy away from him, as we saw with Gilmore last week. They'll still throw at Hopkins. He may not get 12-plus targets. And Heath, you alluded to this last week when Will Fuller's play, his targets have been down.
Right.
But you're still starting DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, this isn't one of those situations where you shy away from
I've got him ranked top 10. I will voice one other concern about him is that he's not gone deep really this year very much. His average depth of target is down like 20% from where it was last year. And that's been the way to beat Chris Harris so far this year. So hopefully they change that up and send him deep a little bit, because I could see this being a Will Fuller game where they just say, you know what? You don't have anybody else that can cover Will Fuller.
He's one of the best DFS plays you'll find because nobody's going to look at him as numbers and say, oh, I got to play him because he's been playing well. But when you look deeper, like you said, Adam, the number 2 receivers against this team have been very successful.
So, Dave, I've got 2 flex spots. And on my bench here, I've got Will Fuller, Carlos Hyde, Duke Johnson, and Rashad Penny. Which 2 do I play? And let's go half PPR.
I'm going to sit the Texans running backs, both of them, and go with Penny and Fuller. And I like Fuller as a flex. You know what the upside is. You know what the downside is. If he's a flex for you, I think it's worth a chance, especially against Denver. Hopefully he gets those opportunities. But the workload splits the last 3 weeks for the Texans running backs have not been in Carlos Hyde's favor at all.
Well, look who they played, though.
Well, look who they played. It's been close games, though. And you're talking about a blowout one. I don't know if it's going to be or not. And even if it is, look, the Texans were winning last week. They've won each of the last 2 weeks. And they were back and forth games. And Carlos Hyde didn't have a ton of work in either.
That was against, which is why I'm concerned about McCoy, a great run defense of the Patriots. And then 3 games ago.
Have a great run defense?
Listen, they rank top 5. They rank top 5. They're a good.
They're a very good run defense.
They've allowed almost 5 yards per carry the last 5 weeks, though.
And then you look at 2 games before that, it was against Baltimore.
They rank top 5 in fantasy points allowed.
Yeah.
Because Adam's YPC for life.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't rank top 5.
But this used to be, the Patriots used to be.
No. I think it just like overall in the year, just regular NFL stats, I think they're up there.
I don't know. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to win the game rather easily. It's funny that you think it's going to be a close game because you don't like Lindsay. You either must love Drew Lock.
I think it's just going to be a little bit of a low-scoring game where the Texans have a bit of a letdown after last week.
I'm just holding on to hope that the Texans realize Duke Johnson is better than Carlos Hyde. And
that's what we've been seeing.
Not in carries, though.
Not in carries, but in playing time.
I would if
you need Hyde to score.
I'd start Fuller and Duke.
Okay, in that scenario. Now, how do you feel about Cortland Sutton this week? Man, 5 targets last week. I know he caught 2 touchdowns, but yeah, I'm a little nervous.
He's always playing so well. Like, even without huge volume, he's been making some great plays. Tough catches.
I've got it Fuller, Chark, Sutton, back to back to back at the end of my number 2 wide receivers. And so you're probably starting him.
Okay. Would you start Rashad Penny or Cortland Sutton?
Sutton.
Chris Carson or Cortland Sutton?
Carson.
Phillip Lindsay or Cortland Sutton?
Sutton.
Lindsay for me.
Do you like a tight end in this game?
No.
Deshaun Watson is a top 2 quarterback, I think, for everyone. Start Deshaun Watson. The Dolphins are at the Jets. Ooh, Ryan Fitzpatrick, man, against a depleted Jets secondary. Well, first of all, which quarterback do you like better in this game?
Fitzpatrick.
I'm a noted Sam Darnold supporter and fan, so I will say Sam Darnold over Fitzpatrick.
I'm going Darnold, too. I'm going right back to him.
Are you ranking him as a star? Like, where are these guys in the ranking?
I've got him 10th.
No, I don't have either quarterback in this game in the top 15, but I think I've got him 15 and 17 or something, so they're very close.
I've got Fitzpatrick 13 and Darnold, I think, 16 or 17. Right. But I like both. I think both have a chance to play well. I just think there's a higher ceiling for Fitzpatrick, who had a higher ceiling against them the first time they met. Yeah, even if you give Ryan Griffin the touchdown.
Sure.
Like, if these 2 guys finish as the top
Ryan
2
Griffin
quarterbacks
touchdown.
the mysterious
fantasy.
Well, it should have been a touchdown, honestly.
Yeah, totally. If they finish as the top 2 quarterbacks in fantasy this week, I don't think any of us would be all that surprised. You know, it'd be surprising, but they have
I would be pretty surprised.
I'm really in a tough decision between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Matt Ryan this week.
Oh, well, I don't know how you sit Ryan with all his weapons.
If he's got everybody healthy and the
How do I
Panthers
sit
are
Ryan with
beat
all his
up-
weapons? Fitzpatrick's been better than them for the last 5 weeks.
Right, he hasn't had all of his weapons. He needs Austin Hooper back.
So Fitzpatrick last year with the Bucs threw for 400 yards in each of his first 3 games. And then he got benched because he was so bad in his 4th game. And basically the same thing happened later in the season. He replaced Winston. He played well. He comes back, gets benched again. So we just, what Fitzpatrick is. He's got so much downside.
But it's
he is
hard to
playing
believe
pretty
that
well.
this is going to be the game that does him in and puts him on the bench. Neither of these teams can rush the quarterback. Neither of these teams have a good secondary. Like both of these quarterbacks potentially could throw for 3 touchdowns.
Is Le'Veon Bell just an automatic start still?
Yep.
Especially in PPR.
Is Patrick Laird better than like a DJ Chark in PPR?
No.
That's a little.
No, but I would start Patrick Laird in PPR over LeSean McCoy.
I would too.
I would not.
Okay, Devante Parker's a must start. Which Jets wide receiver do you like?
I think they're both number 3 guys, but I'd take Anderson over Crowder just based on the last 3 weeks.
I have no idea.
I don't have any idea either, which is why they're way outside of my top 20.
I bet one of them's really good.
I think
Well, you
Crowder.
gotta think one of them is going to be great.
I think Crowder is the one you go back to. I think Robbie Anderson
Darnold
dropping
that
the
high,
touchdown.
Then
I think. Listen, it's about risk tolerance with these receivers.
Oh,
That's why I've got him. I can't
totally get it.
feel confident going to
Totally
say
get it.
start Jameson Crowder. It's a top
Same
12
thing
guy.
I said about Brady. There's going to be somebody that steps up.
Right,
If you-
exactly.
If you had to,
but I think Crowder's the one that's got the best chance of stepping up, at least in PPR, because they've gotten away from him the past couple of weeks. It just makes sense that if they want to try and win a game, maybe they just try and be a little bit more conservative on offense instead of trying to chuck it downfield and have Robbie Anderson drop touchdown passes.
Okay.
I know Robbie's been great, 100 yards or a touchdown each of his past 3. But I think Crowder bounces back, and Robbie will get his opportunities. They could both be good.
They could be. Yeah, they could be. Which tight end do you like better, Mike Gesicki or Ryan Griffin?
Gesicki.
I would go Gesicki because he's basically the number 2 receiver for the Dolphins.
Now, the Jets allow
Griffin's
the
banged up a little bit too.
third fewest fantasy points to tight ends, but really it's more about competition. Gesicki himself had 95 yards the first time he faced the Jets, and Griffin had a good game. He had that touchdown call back, but he had a good game. There have been 5 tight ends with 6 to 7 targets against the Jets. They've had 41, 51, 57, 57, and 95 yards, and that's typically what Gesicki's getting, 6 to 7 targets.
And Jamal Adams missing helps, but really it's the
Yeah.
linebackers who cover tight ends for New York, and they're not good at covering tight ends.
All right, sit the DSTs in this game. Anything we missed there? I think we're good, right? Cool, we're good. Tennessee at Oakland. This also has like a Dolphins Jetsy feeling to me. I don't know. Could be some nice streamers in this game. Ryan Tannehill, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Sam Darnold. I think we're gonna have some different answers here, but how do you rank Tannehill, Fitzpatrick, and Darnold?
Fitzpatrick, Darnold, Tannehill.
Darnold, Fitzpatrick, Tannehill.
Minshew, Tannehill, Darnold, Fitzpatrick.
I would say this,
Okay.
that the probably the safest floor is Tannehill of that group.
Yes. Maybe, and Minshew.
What? No. Tannehill has the safest floor.
Well, Tannehill has a pass attempt problem where he has 19, 18, and 22 in his last 3 games. So
He
they've
also
got a
runs
great
the most of that
matchup.
group, though.
Oakland gives up the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. It's a great matchup. You just have to be a little concerned about the pass attempts. So we talked a lot about the streamers, but who are the mid-range quarterbacks like Drew Brees? Would you start Tannehill or Drew Brees?
I still start Breeze, but I can certainly see if you want to go Tannehill.
I've got Breeze 2 spots higher. I've got him a little higher than Tannehill.
I would start literally all of the streamers we've talked about over Drew Brees.
Breeze
Okay,
was okay last week. He just had passes dropped on him.
Yes,
I don't know if we can.
that's the thing.
I'm not saying he's
Right.
bad.
He was
But it
really
is a
good.
tough match.
You've got to be a superstar or a running quarterback.
He really should have had a good game against a
He is a
bad defense, and
superstar.
now he's got a really tough defense coming into his building.
With his offensive line banged up.
Armstead might play.
He's not have his guard, though, and Armstead's
Pete.
banged up.
Pete's not going to play.
Right. So Andrew Speed Briscoe. Start Derrick Henry, I'm going to say. Start Josh Jacobs. Any hesitation with Jacobs with the shoulder fracture?
No. I mean, it's just the fact that he said that that's what the problem is.
Yeah. Right. He's been playing with it.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Adam,
then
can
how
I
about
do can I do a Heath Cummings impersonation?
Oh, please.
Sure.
Please do.
Tyra Williams is going to score this week. He's a good flex play. Start Tyra Williams.
Yeah.
That's probably true because I dropped Tyrell Williams in like 6 leagues.
That's not the reason why I'm saying it, but
Yeah, I did. I am not calling Tyrell this week. I dropped him for Anthony Miller. I dropped him for Zach Pascal.
I would do that too.
And I'm starting both.
The top 3 outside
The
cornerbacks
DF
for
play.
Tennessee.
DFS play.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't play.
I'll use them in FanDuel. The top 3 outside cornerbacks for Tennessee are all hurt. So I think Carr and company.
But
take
will
advantage.
Derek Carr throw it more than 15 yards?
I think they try to.
This is kind of a back against the wall game for the Raiders.
It is.
They're still in the playoff hunt.
It is.
And they're at home.
But
Yep.
they're also facing a team in a similar spot.
Right.
So who's the best wide receiver in this game? A.J. Brown with a good matchup, and he's due for a good game because he goes good,
Yep.
bad,
A.J.
good,
Brown.
bad,
Yep.
good,
A.J. Brown.
bad.
Yep.
I'd go Tyrell.
Over Tyrell.
I'd go Tyrell over A.J. Brown.
All right, cool. Darren Waller, good matchup. Must start. We like
Yep.
him.
Start him.
Especially with Hunter Renfrow not being there.
Okay, great. Tennessee's DST is in play. They're 7th for Jamie, 8th for Dave, 18th for Heath. And they are the number 8 DST this season. And they almost
18th?
always, or at least respect.
18th.
Number 8. They're 18th for Heath. I'm
8th.
sorry. They're 8th overall this season.
Right.
My apologies. So, they're pretty solid almost every week. If you're desperate for a DST, you can look at the Titans. Cincinnati is at Cleveland. So we talked about Baker Mayfield, Jamie and Dave. Dave, where do you? I know Jamie likes him a lot, and Heath doesn't like Baker Mayfield. Although he likes him, he just likes a lot of quarterbacks better than Mayfield. Where are you on Mayfield, Dave?
It's Cincinnati. He takes advantage of good matchups. Baker Mayfield is top 12.
How about Andy Dalton? Heath.
No.
Okay, good, because we have to
can just
make a
move on.
decision in our league. Dalton versus Mayfield. Can we go Mayfield?
Yeah, we're going Mayfield. Did you know last week I believe I actually benched Mayfield for Dalton on Sunday morning
Yes,
Smart.
I know.
and didn't tell you.
You won us the week. Yeah, but
Yep.
I saw it. I let it go. By the way, 7 of the last 9 quarterbacks to face the Browns have scored 19 or more fantasy points. The only exceptions are 2 Pittsburgh quarterbacks. So,
Yeah, the Browns and Bengals have basically been the same matchup this year. They're like 7th and 9th in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks.
interesting.
And Andy Dalton's been better than Baker Mayfield this year.
But I'm still going with Mayfield. How do you feel about Joe Mixon this week? He's getting a lot of work, and he's been pretty solid against it. So how do you feel about him against the Browns?
Start him.
I'm fine with him as a number 2 running back.
Yeah, he's in that starter range.
Okay. Run defense seems to be getting better. So would you go with Joe Mixon? Let's get some wide receivers. Joe Mixon or Devante Parker?
Parker by
Yeah.
a mile.
Joe Mixon or Allen Robinson?
Robinson by 3/4 of a mile.
Robinson.
Mixon or Will Fuller?
Mixon.
Yep, I would go with Mixon.
Mixon and non-Fuller and PPR.
I'll tell you what, I would go with Fuller if I was loaded at running back. So I've got 2 really good running backs, and I just need somebody with some crazy upside.
Tyler Boyd, starter sit in non-PPR.
Fine number 3.
Low and number 2.
Yeah, I've got him as a number 2 and non.
Would you go with Tyler Boyd or I don't really. I'm getting nervous about Calvin Ridley. Would you go with Calvin Ridley or Tyler Boyd this week, Dave? I see you have them back to back. That's why
I'd go Ridley.
Ridley.
Ridley and non-PPR for sure.
I got Ridley too.
Okay, just all the weapons coming back. All right, Beckham and Landry. So Landry, everybody's starting. He's been great, and Beckham. Come on, when he's had good matchups, he's been really good. So start Beckham.
Yep.
I guess the question mark is Kareem Hunt and how you feel about him this week.
He's a must-start in PPR. In 4 games that he's played, he's been top 24 or better. Non-PPR, it's a little closer, but I think he's at least a flex.
Do we have a David Njoku update?
He's alive.
I would guess he's practicing and still on injured reserve and may come back but won't have an impact.
All right, we did not get to as many games as I wanted to today. That's all right. We have another show tomorrow.
No
We'll get
John
to the
Ross
games
discussion?
earlier. No John Ross discussion. Let me do a little bit more Kareem Hunt, though, to finish the show. Kareem Hunt or Tyler Boyd?
Boyd.
Hunt.
They're both similar in their better format is PPR than non-PPR. But I think, if that's the case, I'll take Boyd.
Kareem Hunt or Deebo Samuel?
Hunt.
Feel better about Hunt than Samuel.
DK Metcalf.
Hunt.
I'll go Metcalf.
All right, look, last week. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say Metcalf.
Last week, I know I gave the stat about running backs get 15 or more carries against the Bengals. Le'Veon Bell did not get 15 carries. Nick Chubb most certainly will. He will probably get 20 carries. He is going to have 150 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. Nick Chubb, DFS.